based on the data that you have acquired, that's a long, difficult journey. And we are on that side now. So I am kind of rooting for complex regulation because that's a market enter barrier entry. So that's kind of a advantage, keeping the competition out. But that's a side note.
Um, Jessica, I'll switch over to you now. So you work at a corporate venture capital in a very, I guess, risky space. Deep tech is considered, it's high risk, but it's also high reward. Can you give us some insight as to how you go about evaluating some of your partnerships? What are some of the things that you look for when you're finding your next unicorn?
Absolutely. So it's all about partnerships, like we were discussing before as well. Uh, we do a lot. We have a solid process where we do a lot of the different steps. We check the technology. We take a lot of the valuation parts and so on. If you want to discuss more about that, I have Carl, my colleague, also in the audience here, who can go into the step-by-step process to really dig down. Again, we are passionate about what we do. We love this area. So also really happy, connect with Linus or myself afterwards with the QR code and so on. To go more, if you really want to learn, and we can share knowledge, because I constantly want to learn from all the ecosystems in innovation hubs around the world as well. So we really want to follow up how to do this better and better and better. But we have a solid process. Carl is the one day-to-day best to know in that process. Apart from that one, we love the diversity of thoughts in general. So we try to be I spent 12 years abroad, grew up 8 years in Asia. I spent, 50, 60, 70 countries. It's, you have to be in the wave, constantly getting new stakeholders and get connections. So when we get the best companies to us, Carl, almost alone, looks at 3,000 companies per year, and we invest in 8 of those per year. So it's solid. But after the first one, we go into and talk to our experts. We have been doing production and scaling globally for 130 years. We've been industrializing for 80 years. When it comes to the big unicorns, aiming big that we need for the world, for the challenge that we have in the world, do collaborate with corporates. I don't think we would do Linus is complicated. We did our investments in Vabi, for example, in 4 days. It's one of the best AI companies in the world, sponsored by NVIDIA and Uber, and it's quick. So I think that era is gone. Corporates are really quick to work with if you have the right setup. And we work then, I bring in the team that we have key expertise who's been doing scaling in China. We have our own 100% own factory in China. We've been doing it in Russia. We closed it in Russia. We've been doing it in South America since the 1950s. You name it, anywhere in the world, we've done it there. And we're happy to learn from any places we have not done it yet. We want to do it with partners together. We have our own battery labs, we have our own wind tunnels, we have access to so much technology, and we always involve those people. So how to evaluate the strategic leverage and so on, we bring in our team of experts, our partnerships around the world. I talk to if it's something that is in Oman, or if it's something that is in Malaysia, I bring in the expertise from those countries that I know in the sales forces, and also when it comes to R&D expertises, and when it comes to scaling, trying to always adjust what does this startup need, and how can we evaluate it. But then it has to be disruptive, of course, aiming big, aiming long term. I think that's valuable for each country, specifically for Qatar, and also for the world, to have this key deep tech innovation that can really have impact for everyone.
Fantastic. So maybe if I can summarize, stepping outside your comfort zone, taking a global approach, and leveraging expertise based on specific sectors, but also based on whatever region that you're looking to tap into.
Precisely so. And when I had a dinner with Raquel Urtasun. She's then one of the 50s on the Forbes 50 list for the best AI minds in the world. And she also said, diversity of thoughts, and that, I mean, diversity of ages. I'm twice the age of Carl, right? And we complement each other, because I have my stakeholder context around the world, you have yours. And I think having that kind of diversity of thoughts when it comes not only to gender, that's what many people talk about, but also when it comes to different geographies, different nationalities, different ages, and different experiences. I think that is so crucial to get the full 360 analysis onto a problem, what will really work in the world. getting business people, technology people, and all kind of people in there, because we need that to fully understand the problem and to fully solve it and scale it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Maybe a question for the whole panel. In the spirit of getting a diversity of opinions, Qatar is on a very unique journey right now of building its innovation ecosystem. As I'm sure you've seen, there's been significant investments in the R&D space, in technology, in research and education in Qatar. And now we're really looking to tap into this new market of working with deep tech startups. And I guess what I'm trying to understand is, based on your experience and based on your journey, what are some of the kind of pieces of advice that you can share with ecosystem builders in Qatar, whether you're working in a university or a large corporate enterprise or at a funding agency? What are some pearls of wisdom, as it were? We'll start again with Christopher.
I'm going to pass this on to Jessica. No, but seriously, I think what Qatar is doing already now is great, inspiring and encouraging the ecosystem and obviously the funding. So I think Qatar is in a good way to success. I do not have much to add, I may say.
All right, so we get full marks from Christopher.
Yeah, but kind of. I'm super impressed. I really am.
I'm glad. Jessica.
Yes, I think this is not something that is unique only to Qatar. I keep on saying this also to the EU Commission and other parts of the world. I think it's really critical with three areas. You have the legal framework, you have the financial framework, you have the operational framework. You mentioned the legal part there, where it takes lawyers' cost. No one wants to pay lawyer cost. And I think that's where the EU Commission helps in Europe, Qatar helps in Qatar. We need this all over the world, so it's not singular here. But to get that access to take down the barriers and the costs for legal access, so that a small startup can afford working with big corporates who can help scaling, and that we as corporates quickly and not too expensive can understand how does it work with IP, how does it work coming into a new country, because it's always a challenge coming into a new country. You have to convince the board and so on. I belong to Volkswagen, and Volkswagen is largely owned by Qatar Investment Authority, but it's still complicated to come into a new country. You also need test beds operational then to do this kind of, the startups have great ideas, but to collaborate those and get those scaled up quickly, do the POCs and pilots. It's not about capital, it's much more about brains and arms and legs, because those are scarce when it comes to computer and quantum and so on. So you need to have these kind of test beds environment, and you need the growth capital, because you have the universities and VCs coming in early, you have the banks later on, but you have the valley of death in between there, where you need to have growth capital. And that's super important, I think, to get that. But I think that, the single most important part then is aiming long term, not coming in for the short win. We do that as well, getting these three areas in line, but long term focusing on fostering the ecosystem from kindergarten up. And again, we're talking to Qatar Foundation shortly today, shortly after this meeting, and I hope for a long time, because even if you're an innovation ecosystem leader that Sweden has been, we need to look at all key innovation hubs in the world, and Qatar is one of the main innovation hubs in the world globally right now. And I'm super humbled regarding that. We need to continuously learn to stay in the technology forefront in the evolving ecosystem. So impressed with what I've seen, but I want to learn so much more about Qatar and how it works here, because the way it works with the Qatar Foundation, it's brilliant. So,
thank you for that. Rajat.
Maybe I could bring another perspective here for sure. As a deep tech founder, of course, my background is not sales. My background is a PhD in tech, right? So the last thing I do when I'm doing my PhD is learn how to sell or learn how to market. And to be honest with you, let me just start by giving an example here, right? With Ignite Sweden here, for instance. So when we started interacting with you, it was way back 2018, 2019. And you, Sasan, all of you guys actually helped introduce us into the market, into large OEMs, one of the largest players in the market. In addition to that, you also had sales courses for us, where we founders had to take up sales courses. So you kind of put together packages for us that helped us to become more well-rounded business people, more well-rounded salespeople, right? So that's one side of the story, at least from a Swedish experience that I have. On top of that, like, of course, ABB is one of our investors and also our customers. And to your point, like, Jessica, you've been talking about it for the last few days about how a company like ABB or Scania yourself is supporting customer startups and scale-ups like ourselves to not just package or productify or go to market, but also like have strategy for scaling globally, right? So I think that communion between the heavy industrial world, which I'm a part of, and that ecosystem that you support with, has played a pretty critical role, no matter how much ever I complain, okay?
Thank you, Rayat, for your kind words. And also just to say that Scania is a role model, I believe, in Sweden in how to work with startups. With that said, I mean, every ecosystem is unique. And I think you need to build your way forward based on your kind of how it works here. I stress the collaborative model, how academia, TTOs, the industry, investors, and policymakers comes together in order to kind of design the best kind of pathway from idea to impact when it comes to deep tech. I think that's a crucial thing to go through, and that can't be copied from Sweden, it can't be copied from Switzerland, and it can't be copied from anywhere else, right? But besides that, I also want to stress that when you're working with startups, please have a budget for doing experiments. And the more experiments you run, the more likely you are to find the gem and how to then continue with them. So that's my last piece of advice.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So experiments, Lego sets, be curious, have grit, and make sure that you have diverse teams. I guess these are some of the key takeaways. I want to thank the panel for their time, for their contribution. I want to thank the audience for bearing with us. Just as a final word, I'm sure you heard early on in our session, we're launching officially the Qatar-Sweden matchmaking program. Please do stick around to learn more if you have specific questions. Linus is around, I'm around. We want to build an innovation bridge between Qatar and Sweden and explore these strategic partnerships and add value to your organizations here. So thank you again, we appreciate it, and I'll have a round of applause please for our panelists.
Test, test. Test, test, test.
Hello. Next session will start now. Please, if we can sit now. Thank you. Yes, next session will start in few seconds. Please, we need to sit. Thank you.
I will find you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's great pleasure to be here today, and thank you for coming. My name is Otman Agmo from Microsoft. I hold a PhD on Smart City, and I'm leading a few projects in Europe, Middle East, and US. I'm the lead advisor on the biggest smart city in Europe, and today we will be discussing the impact of smart city and the transition from the smart city to the cognitive city in Qatar. Qatar government have invested heavily in the digital infrastructure, which is the backbone of any smart city. And we also invest in an AI and a data platform. Today I'm going to introduce a great panelist with us, Mr. Khalifa from Lucille Smart City. Thank you, Mr. Khalifa. Mr. Ahmed Korbi from Msherib, Dana Al-Muftah from the MCAT, and Mr. Sorji from our lead project engineering firm. And today, Qatar has in the future of the smart city. It's not about optimizing technology. It's about the city that learn, adapt, and learn and implement the new technology. So in Qatar, we are developing an AI-driven self-optimization. Also, we are transforming Qatar to be an innovation hub for the smart city. And together with our partner, Qatar Development Research Institute, we are building an ecosystem along with our cities, with our partner and government. With that, I'm going to transfer the first question to Mr. Khalifa. Mr. Khalifa, DR is shaping the city from the ground up. And if we fast forward, part of the vision of 2030, what kind of infrastructure will be funded and for truly cognitive city? And how AI, automation, and self-learning system transform DR from smart city to a cognitive city?
Assalamu alaikum, Khalifa Al-Mana. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this panel and to be part with the leaders in this industry and the smart cities. So in Qatari DR, even before fast forward to the 2035, there is an importance of building the right infrastructure first for the smart city, because the smart city is all about, to be honest, a connectivity. You connect, you collect the data and make use of this data. So we currently have like the smart traffic management system, the SCATs, pneumatic waste, different sustainable innovation and technology, but they are all working in silos. Everyone has its own AI tool. But now to transfer or the transformation to a cognitive city, we are talking what's the definition of cognitive? It's like our human body. It's like the brain, how it's give command to all our organs. So now we have these different systems using the data and to make sense of what data to be used from one system that will benefit multiple other systems. So this is the cognitive nature, and it cannot be done without the first infrastructure for a smart city. So first of all, we need to focus on infrastructure, smart infrastructure, connectivity, and the data analytical tool behind it. And then comes the use cases and the different applications that can be used.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Khalifa. Every smart city goes through 3 phases: design, build, and operate. Mr. Khalifa just touched base on the design phase. Now, I was the CIO of Msherib before I rejoined Microsoft. And with my colleague, Ahmed, the city is already operational. And we faced a lot of challenges, and the cost was very heavy during the operation. Mr. Ahmed, Msherib is often cited as one of the world advanced smart city. We transition from smart city to a cognitive. What are the transformation changes that will define the daily life, daily operation, and how AI will predict system and self-learning infrastructure?
Thank you, Uthman, and thanks QRDI for arranging this session. So let me start with a question, Uthman. What is the ultimate goal of smart cities? The ultimate goal of smart cities is to make people happy. So you need happy people. You need to have positive impact on their lives. So this is not an easy thing. So Msherib has started laying down infrastructure 13 years ago. Infrastructure that meet our needs currently and futuristic need. Why this is important? Because the services that you provide to your people, whether resident or visitors, you need the services to be unique. So with time, these services may become old, so you would like to go to the next level. So if you remember, we went from 4D to 5D indoor without radical changes in the infrastructure. So this is why it's super important to have the right infrastructure early in the project. So for Msherib to be a cognitive city, being a smart city, we will require AI predictive tools. So we are building a layer above our smart city model, namely innovation layer that has the predictive tools.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. when I introduce AI, and every project I'm engaged around the world and discuss AI, we discuss the data. And there comes the challenge of the data governance, data policy, regulation. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dana. How does Qatar Innovation Ecosystem support the country's Smart City initiative? What are some of the main government initiatives introduced to enable innovation and acceleration development and implementation of the smart city, smart solution?
So first of all, I'm glad to be part of this panel. So I'll start to say that in general, Qatar is committed to build a world-leading smart city and a truly smart country. And this is deeply rooted within the National Development Strategy Vision the Third. And this has been inherited by the Digital Agenda 2030, which was launched by the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology back in 2024. And being part of the ministry, we are proud to be one of the leading government entities to support the innovation within Qatar as a country. And our ministry, under our belt, we have a number of programs and initiatives to support the innovation ecosystem. So one of the leading programs is the TESMO Smart Qatar program that harness technology and innovation to improve the quality of life along with diversifying the economy. So enhancing the life of citizens, residents, as well as the visitors coming to Qatar. So with that in mind, we also work with the ecosystem for the innovation, startups and technology companies as well. We have the Tasmo Digital Valley program, which works to connect everyone within the digital industry, from startups to big tech companies. And more than that, even now everyone is talking about artificial intelligence and innovation. And during the Web Summit, the first day of the web, we have signed an agreement with the Scale AI, and there is a promise to deliver up to 50 AI use cases by 2029. And talking about innovation, so yes, from government perspective, we'll set the roadmap, we'll set the direction. But at the same time, everyone is part of this. We need to emphasize on the role of everyone within this ecosystem. We have the QRDI, for example, QSTP as well. We have a Qatar Development Bank. And lastly, to empower this ecosystem, one of the important things that my colleague has emphasized is on data and data sharing. The more data are open, for startups, for the academia, for everyone within this domain, it would enable this, it would enable the innovation and the digital transformation of the country.
Fully agree, Dana, and thank you for sharing the insight. Now we learned from the two cities and the government. I want to hand it over to my colleague and friend from the global engineering to share with us some benchmarking from the global initiative and how they are helping moving the cities from smart cities to cognitive cities using AI and data. Mr. Sergey.
Hi, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me. I'm very glad to be here. Well, there are, as I just would like also to echo Mr. Ahmed's comment that the cities are developed for citizens primarily, right? And all the benchmarking that we have around the world, they all relate to that aspect. AI definitely helps with achieving the goals of making the cities better. However, just from the experience, because I come from ST Engineering, this is a Singaporean company, so the approach that Singapore has is more on a planning level, right? So everything must be planned, including the AI, because everything that happens in the city, again, related to people, and it is important to make sure that the data that we have is used properly, and the design that we have, everything must be go by design, right? So it's a security by design, it is access by design. Whereas, Singapore is #1 city in the world, and the benchmarks that we use, again, there's also different aspects of the cities. When cities might focus on resilience, they can focus on transportation, they can focus on sustainability. We do use all these benchmarks, of course, in our designs. But I have, to be honest, I have not seen one single design where the smart city is kind of measured equally, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sergey. Every solution we build at Microsoft, especially for smart city, it has two core principles: accessibility and sustainability, which is the core principle for the smart city. Now we're going to shift to transportation and mobility as a backbone. And the sustainability is a key driver for the smart city. Mr. Khalifa, how's DRS integrating smart mobility solution to transform from efficiency based on transportation to AI-driven and predictive?
So we were talking about smart cities and the use of data and infrastructure and the digital world. But to be honest, to be a smart city is not only about using the data, it's only designing the city and master plan the city. So when we talk about mobility, and this is one of the great subject, and you can compare different cities with each other in terms of mobility and easy to walk around or to drive around. So in Lusail, it was master planned and designed to be considering the hot weather and the sustainability aspect that we cannot even cool the whole city together. but in the same time to encourage walking, encourage using public transportation, and also the movement of cars around the junctions. So balancing all these three together with the challenge of the hot weather, and put also together the smart solutions that encourage the people, and this is the current project that we are working with the ST on. So this is when we talk about a full solution of mobility in terms of a smart. So it's not only the technology, it's also the design for it. If the design for it's not working, the technology will not work. So the challenge that we are, the big challenge now for a cognitive city when we talk about mobility is, again, that's what we said, the data. And how to use the data now, not to act and to be reactive, is to be proactive. A good example of being cognitive, our current system, SCAT system, for example, it's working on the junctions side. So it will calculate the data coming through the junctions, and that's it. But if we have all other systems that integrated together, connected, and here the AI and the speed of algorithm, and the technology in terms of the chips and the speed of solving the problem, where it can benefit us, that we are not only seeing the cars on the junctions, we are predicting by using the video analytics tools, data analytics tools. Let's say if we have a solution of a pre-journey established in the application, so using all these data to make sense of this car or the majority of the cars, where they will go at this specific time, all this can be done, planned by the AI. So this will make our life easier to plan, and also will show a difference to the citizens. Again, we are building these cities, not only us to optimize, but also for to save time, and also to enjoy your journey as a citizen or as a visitor in Lusail.
Absolutely, and this data can also help the city to expand the road, to design other road. Also, this data can be shared with the city for if there is a road that causes a lot of accidents. Why is it causing a lot of accidents? This can help us promote safety, and also can be also shared with the insurance. Now, you heard from Mr. Khalifa on a design and build solution. Mr. Ahmed is already in operation mode for the smart city. Mr. Ahmed, adaptive, intelligent, and real-time operation. With a fast network and sensors that we have in Mshereb, more than 150,000 sensors in Mshereb. How AI-driven analytics can help Mshereb evolve from reactive smart operation to proactive and predictive, like Mr. Khalifa mentioned?
So taking from where Khalifa has ended, one of the prerequisites to become a cognitive city is the integration of IoT. Real estate developer may require to invest hugely at the beginning to integrate, but they will be saving, and there will be efficiency in the way that you run the city in the long term. So in Cherub, we have integrated over 500,000 of connected devices. So we are monitoring these devices and systems and subsystems from a single location, which increase efficiency. It's easier for us to manage and operate, and also it has a huge reduction in the OPEX expenditure. So we are not yet a cognitive city, but we will be in the very near future by adding what I just mentioned in the previous question, proactive tools on top of our smart city model.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Now moving to Dana, government as the role and responsibility is to do regulation policy. But I get the question every meeting I go, every project I go about startup and how smart city can help startup and promote startup.
So first of all, as I mentioned earlier, so strategy being published, so it gives a clear idea for the startups where their effort should be. So it's good for the startups to have successful businesses, but but it is as well crucial for them to be aligned with national priorities. And listening to both Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Khalifa, there seems to be a lot of initiatives and a lot of opportunities here in the market for these startups to innovate. And beyond setting these strategic and priorities, the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology has offered a number of programs for startups. So one is the Digital Incubation Center, and this program, it works with the startups from early stage. It provides mentorship, it provides training, as well as connecting them with big technology providers to help them grow and being able to participate and compete within the market. Another initiative, which is the TESMO Accelerator, and it's targeting the global startups who are already grown, and we are seeking to bring them here to further expand in Qatar. And within this program, we have supported 250 startups from 29 different countries, as well as providing mentorship, training, as well as providing in-kind support and funding.
How can startup reach out to you? How can startup find this program and participate in this program?
So for the TESMO Accelerator, so I would invite anyone who's interested to learn more. So we have a booth at Qatar Startup. So the team is there, will be more than happy to support on how can they apply and what are the prerequisites and requirements to be part of this program.
Thank you, Dana. Mr. Sergi, Cognitive City is all about artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, and predictive maintenance. All this must use data. What is the balance of using the data versus the privacy, residency, sovereignty? Can you share with us some benchmark that you've seen around the world on the data part?
Absolutely. This is a very important topic. So everyone is very excited about using the data. But quite often, either this data is personal data, or the use of this data can be connected to a person. So it's very important to protect. So we take great care of that. So we, again, it boils down to design. Design not only on cybersecurity level, but also on infrastructure level. Very often, what we saw that the data is compartmentalized. Governments around the world, they issue very strict regulations on the data access that only on a need-to-know basis. So this is very important. Implementation is, of course, possible in this modern day and age, but it all boils down to policy. So what we saw, many governments really take great care of that. For example, again, I go back to Singapore. For example, the MOI equivalent in Singapore is Ministry of Home Affairs. And for example, they have their own set of cameras, but they do not have access to the cameras that are installed and managed by a Land Transport Authority or Housing Development Board. Only on a need-to-know basis they can access that data. Again, data should be protected in storage, in transport, and in Singapore, they created so-called GCC, so it's a government commercial cloud, where you have, in order to, so it's basically AWS, Microsoft, and Google, they created their own cloud, but around it, it's all protected by the government layer of access protection. And you go through multiple layers of authentication in order to access that data. But again, the data around the world is protected, and that's what we're ensuring in all our designs. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Sergi. Also, from Microsoft, we, part of our policy and regulation, we will not ingest any privacy data unless if we mask it. During the World Cup, we had a lot of privacy data, private data, that has to be ingested to our platform, Azure. we mandate to the end user customer that they have to mask it before get ingested. During the briefing, Mr. Khalifa, you mentioned something very interesting. Startup, they don't get a chance to participate in the mega project, in state-of-the-art project, because they don't have references. How can we solve this?
So this is a very good question, because when we talk about innovation and when we talk about like special solutions out of the box, and during the World Cup, I believe we faced also like a good solutions from different startups and universities as well. So how they can build up their reference. So it is a job that for all of us, clients, governments, and contractors or big companies. So for example, if we take Lusail case, currently in the smart city project, yes, we have ST Engineering as the main contractor that's building up and designing and building the smart city. But when we talk about specific solutions with AI, with a specific need, because no city is the same as the other. Each city has its own challenges. So here are the startups that they can flourish, where they are striving to use the data. They are striving to find different solutions that works in a city. So one step is during the project phase. Now, let's say back to the first question, after we have this project, our intention actually to enable businesses and also to make sure that startups has more data, more information they can build up is we need to think of open data, and we need to think of also sandbox environment, or we call it the test beds. We know that different research, and I bet Microsoft and ST and also universities, they want these data. They want the live data and the historical data of existing cities to build up their research and to build up their development. So us as a smart city, we need to be part of this, because we are not only providing or satisfying our needs as an operators. We need to satisfy also the community, that's to enable them to innovate. So this is a job of everyone on the circle of building a project or operating a city or operating a project, that we need to work together to enable these businesses and to build up this innovation part.
100%. From Microsoft side, how we help startup, we have a strong program that not only we give you a fund, but also we open door for you, and we coach you, we mentor you, and also sometimes we bring you under us, and we help you deliver with our quality assurance, and we support you there. Otherwise, you will never get a chance to operate in this mega project. Ahmed, I'm just going to jump to Dana before I come to you.
So just very quick, back to Mr. Khalifa's point about the sandboxing and experimentation. So I want to mention that also one of the initiatives under the ministry which works on the innovation ecosystem is the Innovation Lab. And the Innovation Lab, the aim of this initiative is to bridge the gap between the academia, the technology partners, and so working on solutions to address main challenges. And within this initiative, we will be having sandboxing to enable researchers, academia, and even the startups to experiment and work on in a safe zone for them to innovate.
Thank you, Dana. Mr. Ahmed, Cognitive City is all about automation and predictive maintenance and advanced analytics. Can you share with us some automation that's done in Msheireb?
We have a few use cases, but let me think of something that has impact on the people, so traffic management. So during the World Cup, we have implemented SCAT, traffic management, which is Australian base that adjusts the traffic signal based on the flow of traffic. So if we compare Msheireb to Lusail, we are smaller in area, but we have 17 intersections. And on top of that, we have the tram that is moving around the city, which add dimension of complexity to the situation. But after implementing the solution, we found out that there is a significant reduction in the waiting time at certain intersection, talking about 70% of a reduction. This is one of the use cases that I would like to share.
So traffic optimization,
Correct.
which reduce the traffic, which optimize the sustainability.
Yes, less emission to the
Exactly,
environment.
carbon emission. Mr. Sergi, the last question for you about resiliency and connective cities. What are the challenges and the risk when you move to this autonomous city?
Well, I just wanted to add to the question that was addressed to Mr. Khalifa about how startups can participate in large projects. So at ST Engineering, we do have incubation lab that's based in Singapore, and we do have funds for startups. But besides that, ST Engineering, we build very large platforms that are deployed in cities to make cities smart and cognitive. But we are always on the lookout for new innovation use cases, technologies that can be built and ingested into our platform or added onto our platform. So, I mean, of course, it's not just ST Engineering around the world, but I would advise for the startups to approach companies like us, global system integrators that have large integration platforms, and talk to us and together go to the client and offer these use cases, because we can't do everything. It's impossible. No company in the world can do everything and implement use cases. Right? And now talking about the resilience, of course, it all boils down to the design, right? Not everywhere, not in every aspect of smart city, you need to have redundancy. However, everywhere you need to have protection of the data, as what I mentioned before. So we always, first we look at the design. We ensure we follow the guidelines that are issued by the government. And this is actually a responsibility of the government, because only the government can spend enough resources and time and build the talent in order to implement those policies. So from the governance model, we go to the operational model. And then we implement this operational model. We can bring new ideas to the government. We can, there are multiple ways of designing things, but once we follow the guidelines, we just implement. And of course, it's a very important topic, especially when we talk about mission critical systems, like for example, traffic management system, right? However, maybe a sensor that detects light does not need to have redundancy. So again, it all boils down to design and to the policies of the government.
Thank you so much. Just want to share with you some experience that I've seen around the field, and the mistake that we made as a smart city expert. We collect the data, and we tell the system this is the use cases we want from the data. Now today we have an AI. Why can we leverage AI to study the data and tell us what use cases, services we can provide with the data? We can add our services, we can add our use cases, but let AI to do what AI do best. Analyze the data and provide and ask us and advise us for the use cases, as long as are within the boundary of sustainability, accessibility, and optimize the experience of the visitor, citizen, and resident, including all that. So this is what we are implementing in Europe, that we push the data to the platform, and we ask AI to analyze data and come up with the use cases and services. I just want to conclude. First, I want to thank you for all your time and your experience. I want to conclude with the three key points. And the future of cognitive cities that emphasize on the strategy, importance in building innovation, cluster to enable the transformation in the country. We are working with Qatar Research Development Institute, who's leading this cluster as a smart city, along with our cities, our government, our engineering platform, to achieve Qatar as a cognitive country, not as cognitive city. With that, I want to leave you with the 3 key points. Any smart city ecosystem, we must build innovation-driven ecosystem. We must have enable-powered decision-making for the economy growth, and we must open the door for startups and researchers and give them a chance. With that, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for your time and for your insight. Thank you very much.